All good?
Yeah. Hi, this is everybody. This is Dr. Shaan from Vitality Chiropractic. Welcome back to our interview series where we're talking with other healthcare professionals, learning more about their stories, how they got started, and of course, the people that they help. Today's guest is Aman. He has a master's in osteopathy and a diploma in naturopathy, and he works as part of a team of osteopaths, physiotherapists, and manual therapists at Edge Healthcare. He's a keen athlete, competing in martial arts and boxing, and in the clinic, he has an interest in biomechanics to help his patients. Hey, Aman, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It's been a productive weekend.
Yeah.
How are you finding the close down at the moment?
Well, it is what it is, right? We just gotta kind of get on with it. Yeah, like I said, the clinic's kind of doing a few telehealth things, especially with the physiotherapists because of their post-op rehab patients. So something, but obviously we can't operate at nowhere near full capacity, but just gotta wait it out.
Of course. Yeah. So for those who've never seen an osteopath before, how would you describe osteopathy to them?
I get asked that probably every day, but so let's talk about the classic. A classic osteopath has a very kind of, let's say, hands-on manual therapy approach. And I guess osteopathic philosophy is based around a very holistic approach. So trying to find the root cause of the problem as opposed to treating the site of pain. And why I say classic, looking at the history of both, chiropractic, osteopathy, physiotherapy, is because nowadays, kind of up-to-date research practitioner, you should be kind of all kind of blending in together. So it becomes increasingly harder to kind of describe the difference depending on the practitioner. For example, I'm very sports-based, very exercise-based as an osteopath, but I know some osteopaths that very, very kind of back off from the exercise side of things. So very, very good hands-on, but each practitioner to their own.
And so we start at the beginning. Why did you decide to become an osteopath in the first place?
I just fell into it really. So did my first degree in genetics, and then did a year and a half in a hedge fund, and then kind of jumped to osteopathy. So sort of got injured seeing a physio for a while, and then someone introduced me to an osteo. I was like, this is pretty cool. That was when I was about 17. And then my brother's fiance at the time's dad was an osteopath and lecturer at the uni I ended up going to. So just had a conversation with him, got chatting about it, and just decided to make a finance was enough to put me off, let's say.
Yeah, how are things in genetics as well? Is that not something you want to go further into?
To be honest, I just sort of didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. And you're 18, so you're supposed to do a degree. So I was good at kind of science, maths. Thought there might be a bit of a market in genetics, and kind of sounded a bit clever, to be honest. So I was like, let's just do that. I did 2 years of it, and then that hedge fund was supposed to be a summer placement, and then just ended up staying for a year. Plan was to go into finance after that, but flipped and changed to osteopathy.
And how did you decide to come to Singapore?
I just got a job application randomly for a clinic I used to work for. So I wasn't like, desperate to get out of the UK, but I did want to kind of move somewhere else and kind of just, experience a different kind of lifestyle. So I had an opportunity in New Zealand, but just a little bit far away from me and probably a little bit derelict for a 26-year-old. So then I saw an opportunity in Singapore, and I was like, "Oh, it's pretty interesting." Always wanted to travel Asia and stuff, so applied for it, ended up getting it, and I thought I'd come in for a year or two, as most people do, move here, and 5 years later, still here.
Okay, and when you talked about some of the conditions you mentioned about the biomechanics and more into the with certain exercises, what drew you more to this, say, compared to some of the other things your colleagues are doing?
Or you mean the type of patients I treat, or the
type of patients you treat?
So I mean, I sort of again just with a sporting background in martial arts and stuff, I always wanted to kind of pursue that side of things. So because I'm training in these places as well, then naturally I think some of the members started to come to see me, and then some of the instructors, and then starting to treat a few of the kind of MMA professional athletes and stuff. And for me, I find that quite interesting. I mean, it's always, each person's presentation is individual to them. So whether an office worker with neck pain compared to another office worker, you're going to have that neck pain for a different reason, depending on your lifestyle. MMA fighters or just athletes in general, just interesting to treat in terms of the mechanics. You can kind of push them a little bit more, play with a few different ideas. Much more willing to do homework you give them, obviously. Almost a bit too much. You have to kind of sometimes pull them back a little bit. So yeah, because you can get quite deep into the mechanics with them, and it can get quite interesting for me. So I just personally like that. It's a bit of a challenge.
Okay, which gyms are you working with at the moment?
Well, I train at Evolve mostly. So I'll train all of them, obviously. One championship and is kind of owned by the owner of Evolve. So some of the athletes train there, and I treat them as well. So yeah, I mean, it's quite Evolve's an MMA gym, so it's got boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, I'd probably say about 90% injuries come out of the Jiu-Jitsu side. Just yeah.
Oh, it's just people rolling all over each other. Okay, and what led you to open your own company?
So something I've always wanted to do. Yeah, so just sort of took a punt. I probably did it quicker than I anticipated. But I guess being surrounded with some of my friends, they're quite sort of career driven, and just being around them sort of pushed me to do it a little bit earlier than I maybe would have planned to initially. Got a great business partner, Joe, who's a physio, so we work quite well together. So we both sort of had the idea, and having someone to bounce ideas off is great. So a little bit less stressful when you have someone else with you doing it initially. So far so good. We're working well together. It's been 2.5 years. So
we found the response for osteopaths.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, how have you found the response in general for osteopathy here compared to, say, back in England?
People don't know about it as much, for sure, especially a local community. But it's definitely grown in the time I've been here. So in the UK, most people would know what an osteopath is, and then here not so much. But then I guess at the same time, it sort of arises a bit of curiosity. So people ask a lot, like, what is that? Then you have the opportunity to explain, and they might come and see you out of that initially, and then see what you do and like the way you treat, and kind of, yeah. I think word of mouth is really the strongest tool in our industry, right?
How big is the industry here? Because I know for chiropractors, it's maybe 150 total. So it's not a very big community at all.
Not a lot. I think maybe 40 to 50 max.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Not a lot. We're trying to grow it a bit more, trying to get an association together and stuff. So yeah, on the way, I think, slowly.
Okay. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges you've had of opening up your own practice?
Well, it was a big challenge in itself, the whole process. Initially, you think, oh yeah, let's do this, it's going to be great. But yeah, it's pretty challenging in terms of, just marketing the clinic initially. I mean, me and Joe are both in a good position because we've been in Singapore for a while. Therefore, we had a patient base who wanted to come see us. Fortunately, like the people we're working with now is great, but getting to that point was a bit harder. Finding the right people. I think people is probably the hardest thing, because our clinic, I kind of want to, basically, if you're not seeing me or Joe, whoever you're seeing, you're in good hands. I don't want to. So everyone's quite high quality. So finding the right people is probably the toughest thing, because you can be a great osteopath, great chiro, great physio, hands-on or knowledge-wise, but having that communication skill with patients or that kind of social skill is another layer, which some people might not have, or just having a balance of that, is quite important, hard to find.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned before about, of course, seeing a lot of people who are more athletic. Is there any particular types of conditions that you see more in your practice, or that you prefer to see more in your practice?
Not really. The back guys, so obviously you see a lot of spinal, neck, and the back stuff. But yeah, through sports, I'll see a lot of peripheral injuries. Pretty much everything. I mean, MMA and stuff. Usually, I'd say okay, knees probably the highest, shoulder second, ankle third, hip, wrist. A lot of wrists from punching actually. So I probably enjoy knees the most and shoulders in terms of peripheral joints. Necks are probably my favorite treat in general.
Okay, well, I've got a bunch of people with bad knees. I should probably send to you then. Knees are something I wouldn't touch.
Knees get interesting in terms of mechanically they're interesting because it's the ankle and the hip around them and gait and all that stuff. So yeah.
I always think about knee, it's kind of like having like a little kid in between these two big kids which are much stronger. So if they're not in a happy mood, they just ruin the little kid in the middle.
Right, exactly. I would say the knee has nowhere to go. So it just kind of does what the ankle or hip tells it to.
And what would you say are some of the most important factors of your success in practice?
Yeah, I think so. So is the team I'm with is great. I don't have to go on with it, and generally speaking, it's all pretty good. I think I'm pretty goal orientated as a person, which can maybe be a bit unhealthy. Like I always have to have something to, work wise, some kind of targets we want to hit. If I don't have anything to do, then I'm sort of like twiddling my thumbs, and so as a result, I'll always have something on the cards, trying to push forward with something. But as a result, I might start like lacking in sleep and thinking too much and stuff like that. But overall it's okay. I think also a big massive one is having a good rapport with patients. So we all have that kind of philosophy in the clinic of just being very getting patients to be quite empowered, and just having that communication skill with them is like very important. So we have a very good rapport with our patients, kind of almost become friends and stuff. So yeah, that's well, I would think that's a big thing. I didn't if you obviously don't predict that your clinic's going to be successful as such, and we're not even there yet. But I think just being honest practitioners and putting some hard work in kind of will get its results.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned about some goals and some things you're aiming for. Is there anything you're aiming for maybe more, say, in your personal life? Because I know, like, say, I've been to see you box before. Is there anything else that you're looking for in terms of competition at the moment?
I was supposed to fight in May. What's the date today? May 27th. Yeah, actually, probably, yeah, Friday just gone, I would have been fighting. But yeah, I mean, I fight like maximum twice a year. But again, to me, it's like you signing up for a marathon or something, or whatever sport someone does. It's just a thing to work towards. So for some people, think a fight might be a bit more of a, quite a scary thing to do. But I've been doing fights on and off since I was like 18 or 19. So to me, it's just a good thing to focus on. I'll never get into that shape, fight shape, let's say. If I don't, again, it just comes back to that target. If I don't have that target, I'll train. I'll always train, but had a bottle of wine last night, apple crumble for dessert. So probably wouldn't be doing that when I'm training.
So you don't have patience today, so that's fine.
Yeah, got to make the most of this time.
So you mentioned about targets. What kind of targets do you have for maybe either your own practice or for your profession in general?
For the profession, I think is just growth. Like I want more people to be aware of osteopathy and just in general, because people see a lot of benefits. Business-wise, I don't know. Initially I would have said just like 3-4 clinics is max, and then I'm done. But we managed to open 2 within the space of 2.5 years, and hopefully a 3rd one soon. So you don't know, like a few years ago I wouldn't have I'm doing this. I would have thought just have one clinic. And but obviously Singapore's landmass, I think you can probably only have like 5 clinics or something max. And then we were potentially looking at Jakarta for a short period, but the license to practice there is quite difficult, and you just I thought, let me just focus on one thing at a time. But I'd be happy with 4 clinics in Singapore, and maybe retire in Bali or semi-retire in Bali and open a small clinic there. That would be the dream, I think. Without kids at the moment, so that might change.
So in an ideal world then, as well as the changes you want to see for your practicing profession, what kind of changes do you want to see in healthcare systems, either here in Singapore or in other countries as well?
That's a tough question. Generally speaking, I mean, obviously every country is different. If we're talking about Singapore, obviously the healthcare systems like great, or probably one of the best in the world. I think maybe affordability. I mean, it is definitely affordable for Singaporeans, and they have the whole CPF system set up. So I think it's all very, very well structured. But yeah, it can be quite expensive, right? So, and I mean, most people have insurance and stuff, but obviously not everyone does. So that's probably something where like the NHS is like amazing. But that becomes very difficult to implement, right? Like Singapore, like the tax in the UK is high, therefore they can have some tax, something like the NHS. So that becomes a very difficult question to answer. But if you take away all those factors, something like the NHS in every country would be great.
I agree. I mean, it's something you kind of almost take for granted. I remember when I first moved here, I went with a friend and we got insurance, and he was asking all these questions because he's American. I'm just like,
yeah, exactly.
I had no idea. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize how amazing the NHS is until actually moving here, and you take for granted those kind of things. So yeah, probably just access to healthcare for everyone, good quality healthcare, let's say.
Yeah. So given the current lockdown, what are some tips or some advice you would give for people who are spending more time at home?
Just get moving, really, isn't it? It's like hard to. Yeah, obviously you're cooped up at home, like in an office space. You're still behind your desk, but you probably get up and move around and go get a coffee and talk to your colleagues or whatever. But my girlfriend, I've got her to some of my patients as well, just to get a better ergonomic setup. She actually earlier on, I told her to get her desktop screen from work, so she just took it with her. They were okay with it. Getting moving is the biggest one, I think. Like, obviously it's a bit cooped up at the moment, but you can go out for a run or for a walk, obviously just adhering to the social distancing and stuff. Loads of gyms are doing online stuff, pretty reasonably priced as well. So probably take advantage of those. I do that probably 3 times a week with some people, and then do my own stuff outside of that, go for runs, just get out of the house. Good for your mental health as well. You don't be cooped up inside all the time. But yeah, most problems are going to happen because of lack of movement, right? So yeah, at minimum, go out for a walk once a day. Get a dog. It forces you. Yeah.
What about yourself? You got a dog?
Yeah, we got a dog. Yeah. Little bulldog.
We've been talking about this in our house. We're saying it's tempting. This is the perfect time to get a puppy. You can train them. But then it's when we all go back to work. What happens then?
It's responsibility, but it's good. It's good for lockdown for sure. But puppies for life, or a dog's for life.
Before we go today, it's getting a bit more personal. If you could talk to yourself, say 5 years ago, what advice would you give to yourself?
I don't know. So like again, 5 years ago, I had no idea that I'd be doing what I am now, or where I would be in life. So things change. A year is a long time, and 5. So I was pretty content with how things have gone over the last 5 years. So I wouldn't really change anything massively, but I probably would just go back and tell myself not to like stress out too much. Like starting the business in the first place was pretty stressful, and I was getting like anxiety and stuff, like worrying if it's not going to go well and that kind of stuff, which is normal, I guess. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty okay, bar the lockdown.
Well, hopefully it ends soon.
So far. Yeah, I think just keep pushing. I think don't don't hesitate with decisions, which I tend to do quite a lot. But again, like I said, I was surrounded by people who would help me in that sense. I'm a good friend, so yeah, they were great help.
Okay, well, thank you, Aman, so much for joining me today. And thank you, everyone who's been watching this live or is watching on the replay. If you have any questions, of course, you can put them in the comments, or you can give me a call on 84389550. And of course, you can also contact Aman. All of his contact details, including, of course, the practice edge, they're going to be tagged in this. So, of course, you want to contact them. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'm sure Aman will be happy to help you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, cheers,
So,
Shaan.
thank you.
All right, cheers.
Thanks again for joining me.
All right, bye.